Have you ever found yourself standing in the middle of a crowd and suddenly becoming the target of a thoughtless joke, a dismissive glance, or a remark that makes you feel small? Such moments not only wound the ego, but also leave us questioning, how should we react so that we don't lose ourselves, while still maintaining our dignity? Respect, if not naturally given, must be awakened by a strong presence, not by hasty reactions or angry words. In today's video, we'll walk through common situations where disrespect can unfold in plain sight and explore deep psychological strategies to help you stay calm, composed, and maintain self-respect, even in the most vulnerable moments. Stay with us till the end, because we'll share a very practical tool, a way to act with strength and wisdom when someone offends you in public. Not to retaliate, but to re-establish boundaries and silently but clearly reclaim respect. Before learning how to react, we first need to dive into the root of the issue. Why do you find yourself in situations where you're disrespected? Why is it that sometimes, even when you've done nothing wrong, you still don't receive the respect you deserve? The answer isn't always that others dislike you or have ill intentions. Often, it comes from a subtle calculation, where some people try to shine by dimming others. You're not a victim of hatred, but rather of an unconscious strategy to pull others down in order to feel higher. This happens everywhere, in mundane conversations, in the workplace, in families, even in relationships that seem close. Some people won't hesitate to use you as a temporary pedestal, just to assert themselves in front of a crowd. And that's why the first thing you need to learn is not how to retaliate, but how to set boundaries through your presence. Not by demanding others to respect you, but by not allowing them to use you as a tool to embellish themselves. And if disrespect becomes a habit, you must have the courage to walk away in silence. Not because you're weak, but because you've chosen your own value over fleeting acceptance from others. However, before choosing to walk away, there are smart ways to handle it. Let's now explore a few practical methods that will help you respond to disrespect calmly, clearly, without anger or noise, but still make others think twice before disrespecting you again. Lesson 1. The first impression is always the strongest message. When you meet someone for the first time, that initial moment is not just a social formality. It is a silent declaration of how you see yourself and how you invite others to see you. So don't remain seated when someone approaches. Stand up, not in a rush, not with exaggerated gestures, but with your full presence. And when you shake hands, look them in the eye. This seemingly simple action is actually a symbol of equality. If you remain seated while the other person stands, their unconscious mind will register that you are in a lower position, not just in terms of physical stance, but also in terms of your mindset. One small mistake many people make is looking down at the hand when shaking hands. That slight tilt of your head downward is not as harmless as you might think. It's a subtle signal of surrender that your unconscious sends out, that you're uncertain, that you're defensive, that you're shrinking back. So begin each encounter as a fully awakened human being. Stand up, communicate through eye contact, shake hands with calmness. You don't need to prove you're superior, you only need to convey one thing. I am here, and I know my worth. Lesson 2. When your voice is interrupted, let your presence speak them. There will be times, in a public conversation, when you are expressing your thoughts and someone cuts in. It's not because they want to offer their input, but because they forget to listen. Many people's first reaction is irritation, even anger. But pause for a moment. Don't rush to react. In that moment, you have an important choice. Either lose your peace or preserve your dignity. Instead of harsh words, look at that person with calm, profound eyes. Not with a confrontational glare, but with the gaze of someone who is fully aware of their right to exist in silence and to speak their truth. That gaze, when coming from inner calm, is often enough to make the other person realize they've crossed a boundary. Then you can gently say, "Please allow me to finish." Or, "I'm still speaking, let me finish, then we can continue." No demands, no anger. Just a gentle reminder that you too are human, and your voice matters. When you don't need to raise your voice to be heard, that's when others begin to truly listen. Lesson 3. When mockery wears the mask of laughter, don't give it the power to hurt you. There will be moments, amidst the laughter of a crowd, when you become the target of a joke that seems harmless, but carries an underlying tone of degradation. It's easy to react immediately, with anger, a rebuttal, or a quiet lowering of your head. But both of these reactions give the other person exactly what they want: control over the atmosphere. Instead, stop. Keep your mind as steady as a rock in the waves. Then slowly turn and look at them with calm eyes and speak with a composed tone. "I didn't catch that. Could you repeat what you just said?" This is not a question, it's a mirror. A mirror reflecting exactly what they just said. But this time, there's no laughter to hide behind. And when they are forced to repeat their joke, without the context, without the surprise, the words usually lose their power. In fact, they often become awkward, making the other person uncomfortable. You don't need to speak up to defend yourself with a rebuttal. All you need to do is let them face the shadow of their own words. And that is a silent power, far deeper than any verbal reply. Lesson 4. When someone tries to trigger a reaction in you, show them you're not a switch they can flick on at will. Some people are not seeking a conversation, they're seeking a subtle power game, where your emotions are the puppet they can control. They provoke, they challenge, they test, all to see how much control they can gain over your reactions. But you don't need to participate in that game. Instead of reacting the way they expect, with anger, defensiveness, or silent endurance, take a different path. Do something they don't anticipate. Ask a question that seems random but is intentional. "By the way, do you know of any quiet coffee shops around here lately?" Or, "I just noticed the perfume you're wearing seems a bit strong today." It may sound random, but it's that very randomness that makes it the perfect disruption. It breaks the rhythm, shatters the manipulative flow they were trying to set up. And in the moment when they haven't yet adjusted to this unexpected shift, they lose their position of control. You don't retaliate, you don't give in, you simply pull your mind out of the game and let them play alone. This isn't avoidance. It's a form of intelligence, knowing when to engage and when to step out. And finally, the last lesson, but the deepest. Don't be afraid to leave. No one owes you respect. And you don't owe anyone your presence if it is being taken lightly. In spaces where your value is constantly ignored, where your self-respect is eroded by careless glances or words as sharp as knives, remember, staying is not always a sign of strength. Sometimes, walking away is the only way to preserve your dignity. Leaving is not about running away. It's a silent but powerful declaration. I am not a void for someone to fill with disdain. I am a meaningful presence, and if I am not welcomed, I will become a memorable absence. You don't need to fight for recognition from souls who are not yet ready to understand. For there are places where, only when you are no longer there, do people begin to realize what they've lost. What about you? Have you ever found yourself in situations like this, where respect was overlooked, when you felt judged or disrespected in an unreasonable way? And how did you respond in those moments? We'd love to hear your stories and experiences, stories filled with strength, resilience, or simply lessons you've learned from your own journey. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, because each story, each perspective is an important part of the journey of self-awareness and growth. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring deep truths about life.